hate clown.
What? I said mostly. The show is still ongoing. And besides, we have some stuff to clear up. Hi, I'm Kitty Monk, and I'm here to talk to you about Helluva Boss, or more specifically, Fizzarolli. Fizz, whatever you want to call him. God, I hope you're ready for a video about death. Now, as we all know, Helluva Boss is the best show ever with absolutely no problems. Not even in terms of their characters, story, or their world building.
Oh no, I know you're joking.
Someone's salty.
ArteiceTB, my old pal. Nice to see you around these parts.
Hello, my fellow fine feline friend. I heard Helluva Boss praise, and like always, I just had to add my unwanted 2 cents.
Everybody, this is a collab. Arteice is gonna help me do the Fizzarolli timeline.
Trust me, she's gonna need it.
Unlike me, she has mastered the art at tearing convention apart. So how's about we all make a start on the whole Fizzarolli thing? Let's discuss. Starting with the baby years. Guest has first right.
Oh, why thank you.
You are welcome.
Fizzarolli! Ah yes, Blitz's adopted brother turned rival and childhood crush, apparently.
Gross. It's like Mikasa and Aaron, without all the stalking and enmeshment.
Though we don't know much about where Fizz came from before joining Cash Buxo's circus, we knew he was a very talented and popular attraction at the Little Imp Circus, though. I for one like to think that he was orphaned and put on little tricks for food, and Cash just scooped him up right then and there to join their circus. Season 2's premiere episode, The Circus, is the youngest we've seen of Fizz, and it seems him and Blitz would perform together. According to Cash, he usually has multiple performances a day. Even as a child, Fizz drew in a large crowd, which probably made bank for their circus. And it seems Fizzarolli's only downtime was playing with Blitz, and unlike him, finds blood disgusting.
And then there'll be more blood! Blitzo, that's so gross! Stop!
Oh crap, foreshadowing. Speaking of, couldn't this condition Fizzarolli for the showbiz route he goes down later in life? Performers often have to work 12+ hour shifts, sometimes even longer than that, especially during tech rehearsals. It's one reason why there's child labor laws, or why on Broadway there's 4 different people playing one child character. You don't want to overwhelm them.
But Cash wouldn't care about any of this. Of course not, he's as bad as Mammon. Other flashbacks that highlight Fizzarolli's childhood are from Oops and the mid-season special, and no, I am not saying that long title, it's too much of a tongue twister. Blitz mentioned that they haven't been around each other this much since the last 15 years. So assuming that the fire incident occurred around the time that they were 15 or 17, give or take, that would make these two either 30 or 32 as of now. Considering Stolas is 36 years old, and he met Blitz at a young age, it would be safe to assume that Fizz and Blitz are roughly 3 or 4 years younger than Stolas. Hey, that goes for Barbie Wire too! Look, just because the narrative doesn't pay her no mind, doesn't mean I have to. So Oops somewhat helped clarify when Fizz and Blitz had their falling out. And we could do some backwards math to figure out their ages. However, the mid-season special kinda raises some questions I have regarding Fizzarolli's adolescent timeline. If we assume Fizz and Blitz attending Mammon's concert took place before the incident, and on top of his birthday celebration, the circus would be happy for Fizz winning Mammon's pageant later on. Actually, after reflecting on it, that's how it had to have happened. Because neither of these two have their white scars from the fire. But if that's the case, then why would Mammon bother keeping Fizz post-accident? Sure, we can assume Mammon got Fizz's robotic limbs so he can still perform, or Fizzarolli was so desperate to stay in Mammon's good graces that he was willing to do anything, especially now that he lost his autonomy. I just can't imagine Cash Buxo would be so quick to hand over his most popular attraction, and that Mammon would pay loads for Fizz in exchange for keeping him. Cash is just as greedy and sleazy as Mam, after all. Also, if Fizz has been dealing with hyperfans and stalkers since he was a young teen, how could he not think that being the face of Mammon's brand wouldn't make that issue 1,000 times worse? Maybe one of the perks of working under a sin is extra security, I'd like to imagine. Real quick, one more thought I just had. Remember when Fizz's eyes sparkled hearing Mammon saying he'd treat the clown that wins like the child he never wanted? I'm sure Fizz just heard son and wanted from his idol and nothing else at that moment. I think between Cash and Mammon, Fizz really didn't know what a healthy relationship between father figure figures and children were. Considering his last dads pimped him out for all his worth, but at least now he's sitting back all cozy with his big sugar daddy. Here's to hoping that his adult years were kinder to him than his childhood. How about it, kitty?
Oh, I agree with this 100%. Outside of the employable thing, but we'll get there when we get there. Well, some people wonder if Ozzy is forcing Fizz to live in a gilded cage and giving him all of these little trinkets. It's pretty clear that the two could not be more perfect for one another.
Well, you know I can't say no to a face that cute.
That's why I use it.
They have no problem communicating, and because of Ozzy's shape-shifting abilities, we don't have to worry about him crushing Fizz with his giant Ozzy. I mean...
You know, like massive. I mean, imagine like the biggest, just a giant, huge, like a kaiju, but it's a you know what I mean? Like a big monster.
Fizz, shush, even if this was my favorite joke in the episode. Thank you for the improv, Alex.
Real move, Alex.
However, this is what leads to the next sections, the adult years, and also the Robo-Fizz years. As a teenager during the possible ages we just mentioned, Fizz became especially popular for his circus routines, which also led to him developing the occasional stalker, such as a crazed fan named Eric Burns, aka Bernie Burns, redundant name, who would break into Fizz's dressing room and not respect his boundaries, which people often forget that performers have. Performing, dressing, and having a job in fields like this does not equal consent. At least here, Fizzarolli would be defended by Blitz, who back then was Blitz-O. Blitz-O was more than happy to help his best friend, from the cradle to cremation.
Your fame and my raw, undiscovered talent, I knew we could. Hey,
beat it now or I'll make you swallow your fangs.
It seems that as a teen, Blitz-O started to develop feelings for Fizzarolli, and during Fizz's birthday party, seemed to have mustered up the courage to tell him how he felt, until he saw his father give Fizz a card saying, "I wish you were my son." Now, on the surface, this wouldn't be anything particularly horrendous. Fizz was a lifelong family friend. It's okay to have honorary relatives, and it's better than having your father leave you and your mother for Catherine Hepburn. But Cash only cared about Fizz because he was a moneymaker, and practically forgot about his own son and daughter. Plus, we've seen how Cash treated Blitz-O when he was a child. Who wouldn't feel like crap? Blitz-O, again feeling like a failure, ran away, and in the process accidentally knocked over Fizz's birthday cake. Fire was set to the tent, and Fizzarolli was horrifically burned inside and out. His horns chiseled into stumps. His flesh melted off the bone like candle wax. His limbs were scarred horrifically, and he was never the same. Blitz-O also ended up scarred, having a permanent mark on his face. In the process, he ran away from Fizz, not to abandon him, but to get help for him and his mother, the latter of whom sadly did not survive. See, I wasn't kidding, it's a video about death. And just know that Blitz-O was the only one who actually tried anything. Even in both of their POVs, everybody just ran for the hills. Not even Cash. That's freaking sad. In the hospital, Fizzarolli wanted nothing more than to reunite with his childhood friend, and Blitz-O, who lost his family, wanted the same. But Fizz was told by somebody, possibly Mammon, one of Mammon's associates, Cash, or heck, maybe Barbie or one of the hospital goats, that nobody showed up, while Blitz-O himself was told that Fizz did not want to see him. This led to the two being estranged for over 10 years. Blitz-O because of the shame and the guilt, and Fizz because he now resented his former friend. Both took different paths in life. Blitz-O striking out as a clown before changing his name to Blitz and becoming an assassin, and Fizz succeeding in everything Blitz-O failed in. That's bananas, like Squilliam and Squidward. And they might have even been ex-boyfriends? Holy crap, they really might be Squilliam and Squidward. Even Alex Brightman said in a live stream he thinks that Blitz and Fizz did stuff together, like experimented. However, there is one thing I kind of want to bring up that doesn't make sense timeline-wise, at least for me. During the concert flashback, the one where we first see Mammon, Fizz learned about the contest where the winner would be Mammon's brand baby. And as we learned later in the episode, Fizz competed and won 10 years in a row, even though Oops establishes that Blitz and Fizz only talked twice in the last 15 years.
Twice is already way too much.
However, the question becomes, when exactly did Fizzarolli first enter? Was it before the accident or after? Personally, I'm more of a before the accident type of gal, simply because the birthday party could have also acted as a goodbye party. Or maybe Mammon really did want him for the pageant and he didn't want to waste promising new talent, so he turned him into the semi-cyborg we know of today. What do you think?
That's my theory too, and the best we got to go off on for now.
Oh phew, I was correct. After the accident, Fizz was accepted into Mammon's employ and became his cash cow, the stepson who he loved when it was convenient. His words, not mine.
Winner will get to be like the son I never had. And I'll be like the stepdad that will love you when it's convenient.
Oh, and his bright, shiny brand baby. Again, Mammon's words, not mine.
Now how's my bright, shiny brand baby doing?
His image was plastered all over hell. Action figures, cereal boxes, fluffy toy fizzies, and most importantly, his likeness was used to create a brand of robotic Fizzarollis, or Robo-Fizzes for short. Hey, you know what would make this whole video even more awesome? More Fizzarollis! Primarily, they were used to satisfy people in all sorts of ways, but Mammon used them for other purposes. My personal favorite is Therapist Fizzy, or Wait in Line for You Fizzy, because I would get a lot of stuff done. Or you know what?
Dr. Fizzy beeps every time it senses cancer!
Something tells me he causes cancer just so you have an excuse to keep him around or buy more. The worst? The two attendant fizzies we saw in the mid-season finale, which, not gonna lie, that's just plain creepy. Obviously, Mammon isn't using them in a nasty, piggish kind of way, besides making them hold his snacks. At best, they're just servants or like that furniture from Squid Game. But it's still weird and oddly symbolic. One of these Robo-Fizzes was sent to Mammon's theme park, Lululand, which is totally different from Lucifer's far more popular Lulu World.
Tell that to the copyright lawyers.
Fifth Amendment. Anyhow, Robo-Fizz was sent to work as a circus performer, satisfying both children and their parents. The thing was, somebody else also ended up working there. Blitzo, as a clown who could not make anybody laugh. All he wanted was for somebody, anybody, to say, "Hey, I see you, I accept you, and I fear for my safety around you." Yet he never could. I gotta say, this is a totally ironic punishment, like his own personal hell. He already feels remorse for everything that happened with the fire, and now he has to spend every waking moment around a living reminder of the friend he scarred. Imagine the guilt, the self-loathing. Then there's the fact we don't know how much of the real Fizz the robo-copies contain. AI-wise, his personality, his memories, all of it. For all Blitz knew, it could have been the real Fizzarolli cursing him out.
People love me. Does anybody love you?
But I like to err on the side of caution. However, there were a few wrinkles to Fizz being famous. Not only did he get more stalkers as a result of the various Robo-Fizzes, but he had to suffer abuse under Mammon, who made him work as much as possible, while abusing him in a matter of ways. At least Cash let Fizz play with balloon animals. Fizzarolli, despite having my ideal stomach, was told by the hulking Baron Harkonnen Christmas tree man,
Not gonna lie, you're looking a bit chungo, yeah? Maybe lose a few so we don't gotta make any more adjustments to the fizzies.
Nah, but I want my fizzies in larger sizes like the commercial says. What a rip. I demand a refund.
"Sorry, dude, but people like him skinny as f." Even if Mammon himself looks like if somebody ripped off that outfit, he's gonna start yelling, And there's also other implications. As we know from Ozzy's, Fizz isn't too comfortable with fans who only like him for his first traps.
I don't like how many creeps you have now thanks to Mammon. And I don't like designing toys with your likeness for him.
Ironic coming from the king of lust.
Well, it's different when it's one of your own. But he's trapped with no escape like a cloud of dirty hipster fake. On top of that, Fizz's mental health problems still persisted, likely because therapy costs money, as do life coaches and gurus. Fizz likes performing, and he likes most of his fans, which I think makes it harder for him.
I can't just not compete. I'd be letting him down. The fans down.
But sometimes he isn't mentally ready to interact with those fans, which is totally not inspired by Alex Brightman in the slightest. Regardless, Mammon guilt trips him into doing so for the money.
I want that. So come on, just do this one thing for me.
Okay, sir.
Ah, you're a bloody legend, Fizzy.
Some people, including myself, have speculated that perhaps Mammon's abuse could have went beyond forcing Fizzarolli to look or act a certain way. Maybe he allowed fans to do whatever they wanted to Fizzy, provided they paid top dollar. Heck, maybe this is why the Robo-Fizzes were invented. They're probably cheap to mass produce, and Mammon can use Fizz for other purposes in the meantime.
I mean, how else could they construct fizzies without all the proper measurements? Attention to detail is what really sells a product after all. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, hint, hint. Yeah, baby. Oh, yeah.
Look, I'm sorry if this sounds fan fiction-y, but it just reminds me so much of Finnick from Hunger Games. A dude who seems so perfect and clean-cut on the surface, but is really hiding an abusive past, and a lover he isn't allowed to be with for societal reasons. Mammon wants him to be perfect, a perfect performer, and made it abundantly clear that the only reason Fizz had a life full of security and love was because of him. Talk back or mess up in any way and you'll be back on the street. However, there was one silver lining. Asmodeus, the king of lust. Sometime after he became the brand baby, Fizzarolli somehow made Asmodeus's acquaintance. The thing is, we don't know how or when. Maybe it was when Ozzy was contracted to make the Robo-Fizzes. I mean, maybe Ozzy had to get hands-on when measuring Fizz to match the robot's likenesses? Or maybe it could have been way before, for reasons I will get to shortly. If you watched my Fizzmodius video a few months back, you know I absolutely love this couple. They're super adorbs, communicate greatly, and they have such great chemistry. Plus, they starred two of my favorite Broadway actors, so it's like all of my fanfics come to life in a non-weird way. My fanfics aren't weird. However, there is another wrinkle. OMG, this video has so many wrinkles. I could turn it into a pug and give him a good boy hat. Not only is Fizzarolli an imp, the lowest being in hell, but to make matters worse, Asmodeus is one of the 7 deadly sins. With lust, monogamy is not meant to be an obtainable goal, because, to quote Fizzarolli, love is stupid. Perhaps without seeming headcanon-y, Ozzy fought this way until he met Fizzarolli. Unfortunately, they still have to hide their love. They simply are, at best, friends with benefits to the public or business partners.
Historians would call them besties.
To keep up appearances, Asmodeus has employed Fizz at his club, Ozzy's, as an MC, and kind of pseudo-secretary because Oops implies he schedules his boyfriend's day down to the minute.
And then you have a nooner with Prince Stolas.
You schedule me during lunch.
Well, you're pretty good at squeezing things in.
And BTW, whether or not you're the king of lust, always remember to give your loved ones a spirit hug. Now, the reason I say they could have gotten together after the Robo-Fizzes is because of the reveal of the mid-season special. Mammon is able to continue manipulating Fizzarolli because he can blackmail Asmodeus with the knowledge of their relationship. If Ozzy vouches too far for him or lets Fizz stand up to him, he'll rat them out like that. However, it's also possible the pair could have met through another avenue, robotics. At the end of Oops, Fizz's arm is injured by Stryker, and Ozzy promptly takes him upstairs to fix him, like a broken toy. Perhaps they could have met during a tune-up. I mean, it's hell, I'm sure patient doctor laws don't exist. Speaking of, there's a point I want to make on the arm thing. When Ozzy has to fix that arm, he uses a scissor to get through the torn fabric. fabric. That way he can detach it. And Fizz starts to wince in pain like you would if you're about to get a shot or smacked or something like that. While Ozzy doesn't mean anything by it, some people have wondered if perhaps Fizz suffers from a form of medical PTSD, especially since earlier he seemed to be triggered by sharp objects. We know that the medical system of hell kind of sucks. What if after the accident, they removed his arms with scissors? Maybe even without any kind of painkiller. Either because of how quickly it happened, or because nobody cared.
Maybe, but seeing that they were tending to Mammon's cash cow, I like to think that they were a bit more gentle as to not worsen Fizz's condition. That's what the physical therapy is for.
Oh phew, that's good. It also kind of makes you wonder why nobody bought him new horns. Was it cheaper to just cover up his stumps with head coverings? Did they offer but Fizzarolli refused? Is it even common knowledge considering how many of Fizz's fans, including Oliver, have broken horns themselves? All of this brings us up to the present day. During Lululand, Stolas's home life is beginning to suffer now that Stella knows about him and Blitz. And to cheer up / distract his daughter Octavia,
Finding an excuse to flirt with his impish side piece,
he takes her to one of her childhood wonderlands, Lululand. When the trip doesn't go as Stolas planned because Octavia doesn't want to go there, and even said it herself a few times,
I'm not 5 anymore.
and because he can't stop flirting with Blitz for more than 5 freaking seconds,
You know, it's quite thrilling to see you on the job, Blitzy.
Save it.
You both need to get a room.
dude, your daughter is mad because you and your wife won't stop arguing about your infidelity. And said infidelity is standing right there. Stolas tries to salvage the situation by taking her to RoboFizz's show.
Oh, look, Theo! You used to cry such tears of joy at this show. Oh, no.
I think my parents did that with me at Santa. Santa sucked. While Fizzarolli doesn't appear in this episode, it's quite important as it exposits to the audience the relationship Blitz had with him, or at least with a RoboFizz, which I previously went into, along with the implication that he has a crybaby backstory.
I make more money killing people than you do being a cheap robo ripoff of an overrated sellout jester!
RoboFizz and Blitzo, well, Blitz, the L was now silent, trade barbs, and rather than let it go, they get into a fight, which causes an eerily familiar sight.
Torches! I say, get your inconvenient torches here!
Ow! I said ow!
Yeah, that rhymes. Wait, did Wally work at Cash Buxo's circus? Or at least when the fire happened? According to Cherub, he knows that Blitz's name used to be pronounced different, unless maybe he's just trolling him. That's probably worse.
You have a holy operation here, Blitzo.
But that's something that only people from Blitz's past do. Blitz, being the everything is now on fire kind of fool, causes Lululand to burn down around everyone, and RoboFizz to be eaten by a T-Rex. However, word of what happened reaches Fizz's ears by the time of Ozzy's.
I'd sure love to shake the hand of the crazy son of and then slap a fat subpoena in it, because I'm very much looking to sue.
Okay, 2 things. First off, I did not realize he said subpoena. I thought he said a word that rhymes with slaps a that's a queen. Sorry, I wasn't being weird or overly cautious. And 2, considering what we know now, I wonder if he was being genuine, or if that was just part of the act or something Mammon told him to say. Like, what if Blitz came out and said, oh yeah, I broke your robot? Is he gonna be like, thank you? Or what's gonna happen? Considering how it never comes up again, I lean more towards the latter. After a dream sequence during Truth Seekers, we are properly introduced to Fizzarolli in the season 1 finale, Ozzy's.
Welcome to Ozzy's, Lust Ring's #1 place for all kinds of sick, twisted fantasies put on display.
On an average night at the club, Fizz tries to do his job, and he's doing a damn good job of it.
And the ones we sell to get you freaks off.
I know what you mean! I have 4 of them!
Okay, keep that guy far away from me.
Oh no. Oh, foreshadowing, no. Tonight there's a few acts.
Ferocica Mayday, Wet Dream, and The Squirters!
and Moxie.
With no creative stage name whatsoever.
I know, right? At least his name isn't Kevin, and he's not from Nutley, New Jersey. Fizzarolli doesn't realize that his life is soon going to change. For the better, kind of. I mean, it's just a theory. Moxie goes to sing, but there's a problem. The song, it's not about boning. It's about love, and love is stupid. Again, with hindsight, I feel like Fizz probably did like the song, but he has a job to do. So he and Ozzy get to work heckling Moxie. It seems oddly supportive how they're doing it. They could just tell him like, haha, get out, but they don't until later. They're just like, dude, okay, nice job, but it's the wrong genre for this type of place. We don't blame you. You could stay here, but you gotta sing something else. It has to be graphic. Hey, you know what? We have a few ideas. What if you sang about bondage or peace stuff or whatever floats your boat? Because Truth Seekers and the Harvest Moon Festival restored Moxie's confidence, he doesn't listen to them. Idiot. And his boss just has to come to his defense. You didn't listen, Blitz-O. Now this is what you get.
I think you were trying to sing something for me, Mox.
Yeah, I was.
No, you hit him with bad art.
Oh, ain't that just such a happy display? It sickens me. Get the f*** out.
Ozzy, you lying sack of... No, you know the saying. Every success begins with sucks and ends with yes. Sucks yes. That's when oops comes a knockin'. On an average day, Fizzarolli has to go to the green ring in order to participate in rehearsals for Mammon's clown pageant and also to pick up gas station milk, which Ozzy does not approve of. The going to the green ring, not the milk. I'm sure he wouldn't care about the milk.
You're still going to that contest rehearsal without me?
Well, you have a packed day today, and I know you aren't big on the whole Mammon thing.
Good foreshadowing. Just saying, the first time I saw this episode, I thought it was one of those, like, find the prize at the bottom of your cereal, and the winner will get to meet Fizzarolli or something like that. But this will be important later. Plus, I feel like Ozzy wasn't worried so much about Fizz going to a dangerous part of hell, but just who he was going to. Ozzy does not approve, but Fizzarolli knows how to beg for it.
I can handle it. Come on, Big Daddy. Please.
Good thing that Fizzarolli swears.
Don't worry, Oz. I'll be super low-key. Nobody will notice me.
And that he is.
Man, it's great not being in the spotlight for once.
Yep, nobody noticed. Who was that? I'm pretty sure that was Tim and Lucas. Those people worry so much about their stupid little lives, most of them never notice anything strange or unusual unless you make them. Or Fizzarolli-ish. Too bad that thanks to his dogs, including Precious.
Oh, wow, looky who it is.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, well, guess that's what resilience and talent gets ya.
Fizzarolli has the right level of petty spite that I wish I could obtain. Don't judge me. This leads into a skirmish which is noticed by Crimson and Stryker, who see potential in ransoming the two. Wow, that's like twice Fizzarolli has been confronted by a dude voiced by Richard Stephen Horvitz.
Who's Richard Horvitz?
Nobody.
I know! Crimson tries to negotiate a deal with Ozzy, subplot, while Fizzarolli and Blitz are thrown into a cell. Unlike Blitz, Fizz doesn't take well to captivity.
Oh, chill out, Jester. Christ on a stick. It's like you've never been tied up before.
Sure, but not by a bunch of psychos.
Makes sense. Just saying, at least with that, you trust your partner, and you know there's no actual danger. It's kind of like a real-life version of watching a scary movie. It's fun to watch the girl get chased, but you would not want to be that girl. While Fizz and Blitz continue to bicker, we still do see that they care for one another, somewhat.
Then you are no better than any royal.
Don't you dare finish that sentence, clown.
Blitz enjoys watching Fizz be the one to suffer for a change until he realizes, hey, he's not a sadist, kinda, and he frees him.
You had a knife this whole time.
Oh, another good detail. You probably picked that up from Truth Seekers. The pair are freed, and in the resulting chaos, have to confront the baggage that is their past.
It was still my fault.
Glad you can admit it.
Along with the fact that stuff happened misunderstanding-wise.
Oh.
And while Fizz makes the point he isn't totally ready to forgive, he is willing to take the first step. Ready, set, be it distracting Crimson and his gang with a song so Blitz can find a way out for them, or complimenting him on his skills. Too bad, just as they're about to escape in what I presume to be Chaz's car, Stryker catches up with them, holds Fizzarolli at gunpoint, and has his own mini breakdown.
I'm through losing these fights. This worthless little pet reeks of his overbloated master.
Blitz is able to shake him off by shooting at a nearby gas tank, but trauma and fear is definitely singing in those ears. Blitz, with quick thinking, puts his circus training instincts to work and rescues Fizz.
You blew me up again!
I did. But this time I stuck around.
As a further reward, Fizz convinces Ozzy to give Blitz a special crystal. That way, Blitz can go to the surface whenever he wants. Long story, just go watch the subplot.
Let him have it.
Excuse me?
Yeah, why not? You could say he earned it.
All right then.
Finally, we get the mid-season finale, and our most recent Fizzarolli episode.
Mammon is gonna notice that.
Wait, is that from Oops? It is, isn't it? Fizz is competing in the pageant once again, despite Ozzy trying to tell him he isn't approving of Mammon. Not because Mammon sucks and everybody knows it, but for highly justified reasons.
Fizz, I've known that guy since the start of hell, and he fucking sucks. Always has. He doesn't even do clown shit anymore.
Still, Fizz deflects harder than a basketball against a wall, and wanting backup, Ozzy hires Blitz to try and persuade Fizz to quit. Holy crap, a lot of that rhymes. At the show, Fizz realizes that for the first time in forever, he's actually going to get a challenge in the form of the Glam Sisters.
Be competing as well? That's really nice.
Which makes sense he didn't know that, or at least know them well enough to do research. First off, he always wins, why bother? And second, he was also kidnapped the episode he probably would have met them. Fizz performs with all of his might, but he still ties. Later, he gets forced to participate in a meet and greet, but just as things seem to be going well and his mental health is getting a boost.
Well, anyway, folks.
You're not even a clown anymore.
The trauma of seeing this guy, who he's likely probably also seen and heard of multiple times since, causes him to suffer a panic attack. And I just want to zero in on this moment. During this scene, Fizzarolli panics, and he grabs his collar. While he could have been hyperventilating and the collar was getting in the way, there might be another reason for this. In Ozzy's, Fizz also encountered a crazy fan, and his first instinct was to speak into a hidden microphone, which is located in, you guessed it, his collar, almost on instinct.
Okay, keep that guy far away from me.
It's just one more reason these two are the best. At his boyfriend's club, he had security. There were people there to help him and make sure he was comfortable. Ozzy knew that Fizz liked to perform, but his fans could be out of control. Mammon was well aware of that fact too, and gave him no such protection because, why do so? Those fans paid. Heck, Blitz was his only security there, and Ozzy was the one who had to provide it. Mammon, his freaking boss, did not show up until that fan left, and he wasn't worried about Fizz, just if he had the energy to keep performing. I don't know if this was intentional, but if so, great attention to detail. Upon witnessing the Glam Sisters perform, Fizz realizes there is a huge chance he might seriously lose, and he has an anxiety attack that's been building throughout the episode, if not an outright mental breakdown, until he's in his dressing room on the verge of tears.
Oh, no.
Ozzy arrives, likely having been called by Blitz, and we learn why Fizz has been pushing himself so intensely.
I'm barely worthy of working with a king of sin, because this is who I am! Without all this, I'm just nothing.
Oh, of course, we know that isn't true, but tell that to imposter syndrome. That's when Ozzy has to spell it out for him.
Mammon didn't do shit. You already were this. You'd be this no matter what.
his confidence restored, his crazy fan finally killed, Blitz approving of their relationship, and all of it sealed with a kiss, Fizz goes on stage for the big finale, where he sings 2 Minutes Notice, laying out to the audience just what he went through to become famous, and just how bad of a boss Mammon is. The song is great, but Fizzarolli decides for himself,
I quit.
good for him.
What do you mean, quit? I mean, I quit. I'm done. Good day, mate.
Extra good for him. As we all know, Mammon won't let his prized cash cow leave without a fight, and once again, Ozzy steps in to defend Fizz. Something he couldn't do last episode, deciding that, you know what, maybe it's better to tell the people of Hell about their secret. Removes the power.
What? That I love him? Well, I do.
Now this leads to the question, where do we go from here? Well, I have a few ideas, but my biggest is that Fizzarolli isn't done being a clown. He bounces back fast. On top of that, he will still have protection, and he has people in his corner, a loving partner with Asmodeus, fans who can't wait for him to come back, and even a newfound friendship with Blitz. Maybe it might be a tad harder for him to find work because I could totally see Mammon blacklisting him, but the future seems bright. We already saw that Fizz sometimes moonlights at the club. He could totally do that.
I think Fizz will be just fine, protection-wise with Ozzy, but that might just make him a recluse. More difficult to show his face anywhere without his sugar daddy to protect him. So in a way, Fizz just went from relying on one strong man to another, but at least he's loved by him and treated with some respect.
It's actually kind of sad, but that was my first thought when Oops ended and Ozzy said that Fizz wasn't going outside anytime soon.
Well, don't worry. Today I learned that I hate going outside.
You won't have to again.
Maybe he meant it at the time, but then Fizz spelled out what happened. I don't know. But another question is, when will we see him again? Well, I think the next episode will probably be Apology Tour, which could be about Ozzy and Fizz traveling throughout Hell and apologizing for their statements. Blitz already said that while he was happy for them, he was still angry they were massive hypocrites. Or maybe it'll finally answer the biggest question.
Who tops?
Perhaps, but that's a conversation for another day. I gotta hop over back to my channel for more Helluva Boss analysis. Like how I tore Stolas a new cloaca for being the absolute worst, or Luna's backwards development. Thanks for having me, kitty. Bye-bye now.
I hope I don't have to hire Stolas or marry him, but thank you for coming on, Arteice. Go and subscribe to her channel and answer the question in my comment section. Well, bye. Goodbye, cruel world. Dolly will never come this way again.